Hello and welcome back to Suspend Animation. I'm your host, Dennis Patholkas, and it's time for Saturday Morning Blast Off. Welcome, everybody. Before I get started, let me take care of some business, and then, of course, we'll get to it. If you like what you see here, like, share, and subscribe. If you are still on the fence about subscribing, at the very end of this video, you're going to see a video pop up here. And basically, what YouTube does takes the algorithms of all the stuff you've been watching, tries to match it as best as possible. One of the videos, my vast video library, and pops it up there just for you. Up here will be my DC special, DC Decimation, which is going to be up there talking about a little more in depth about what happened on Monday with all of that. That's what's going to be up there. Also, if you want to know when I'm on live again next, you get the bell down below. It's a 50-50 chance of YouTube actually notifying you. Best thing to do is go to suspendedfanimation.com. That is where I have the links to all my social media. So Twitter, Instagram, Patreon page. Plus, I have the schedule up for the week when I remember to change it on Monday. And I've got the links to this YouTube channel, my Facebook page, and a Facebook group page, which you guys can post stuff on and chat amongst yourselves. All right. Let's get to it, shall we? Hey, Morks. Good morning. Whoa. Sorry, I'm knocking stuff down already. Just so you're aware, we're in the middle of a heat wave here in California and pretty much the rest of the country. And California's decided to do some rolling blackouts and stuff like that, which, I found out last night about 6:45 when they cut off power. So if that does happen, if I just suddenly wink out of existence here, it's because of that. So I apologize in advance. So going back to the recapping what happened with DC, I guess you could say DC media at this point. There was 800 people roughly that got laid off. The DC Universe staff is pretty much gone. There's a few people that are left. DC Collectibles is definitely gone completely. The DC Universe staff is almost down to no one at this point. And Jim Lee, who is now the chief creative officer for DC, I guess you can say, is he was in Variety. He did a little Variety Q&A, I guess, some interviews and all that stuff. And he just announced that DC Universe essentially is comics only now. That's all it's going to be. All its content, all its original content like Doom Patrol, Titans, Harley Quinn, all that stuff is going over to HBO Max. So yeah, so no more 4K streaming. You only get, the 1080p stuff. If you want 4K, you're going to have to buy the discs if they still have discs, or it's going to be digital content since everyone's moving that way. Yeah. I'm not going to pay $8 for a. Will it go down in price then? No, it's not going to go down in price, Stanley. I'm not going to pay $8 just for comics only. That's not worth it to me. Their comics were good. It actually got me reading comics because I was already there for the original content. But yeah, I'm not going to go, there for $8 for a fucking comic book, for a few comic books to read that are slowly taking their time coming out. Because right now they are like double the amount of issues that are out on the stands versus what they are showing digitally, which I know it takes time for them to do the digital version. Yes, but still, get with it. I mean, you guys are putting these all up, for the printing process, it's all digitally mocked up anyway. So you can actually use those for your digital production as well. Doesn't take that much. And this is kind of funny. So this whole thing that happened with, AT&T pretty much gutting DC the way they have. I mean, Jim Lee also said that they are still in the business of printing comics, and they're not going to get rid of that. It's not a pencils down kind of thing on doing new comics or anything like that, or the comics that are already in production, even though they have canceled stuff like what was it? Young Justice. There's been a handful of DC comics that they've canceled, but then again, DC does this periodically during the year where they will cull about, anywhere from 5 to 10 books, and then they'll slowly build it up again over the year. Then they'll cull another one, and they do this all the time. So that's not a big deal on that end. But the funny thing about this is that that I'm reminded of is when DC, or excuse me, when Disney took over Marvel, and everyone's going, "Oh my God, Disney's gonna gut Marvel Comics. Marvel Comics is gonna be shit now." Well, relatively speaking, um, and that didn't happen. That really didn't happen. But AT&T, of course, took over uh, Time Warner and on all that. Again, I go back. They paid $151 billion. That's with a B. $151 billion. And DC, the DC properties, or Warner Media, properties at that point, don't make that much. Quite honestly, the comic books, like I said, is about $300 million per year is what they bring in. Not a lot. So, but that gets you your $1 billion properties like Superman, Batman, Wonder Woman, Aquaman, all that kind of stuff. So that's what that is. It's a pretty much an idea incubator, if you will, for movies, and that's why they're going to keep it around. They're going to keep it on life support, but they're going to keep it around because they're going to harvest the organs that they can out of it. And yeah, it's a sad thing that it did happen. And I mean, DC Collectibles was really, really damn good. So I don't know why they got rid of that just to sell off to Mattel and Hasbro. Yeah. The other thing is DC Fandome is still going on. So DC Fandome is next Saturday, the 22nd, and the schedule is up right now. You can actually, I'm going to put the schedule down below. If you look down below in the comment, or not the comments, the description of this video, you're going to see I have a timeline of events of everything that's going on that I'm talking about. And I also put links in there to stuff I'm talking about as well, because I'm nice like that. Philip says they are poop now. It's just not because of the takeover. Yeah, I know. I know. Are you talking about Marvel or DC or both? So, yeah, DC Fandom, I still don't understand if this is live or if this is pre-recorded. It would make sense if it was already pre-recorded. They pre-recorded before the massive layoffs. But yeah, I don't know. I don't know how they're going to do this. Quite honestly, it's you do this 2 weeks before your major event of you want to bring fans in and talk about all your movies, your TV, your comics, all your stuff, and you gut your staff. And I'm trying to figure out how they're going to do this. And the only thing that makes logical sense to me is that they've pre-recorded all this stuff and now they've shit canned everybody. Um, yeah, I mean, granted, so when you do when a corporation does a massive layoff of this size, especially in California, which is where DC is based now, DC is in California, they have to give 60 days notice, I believe is what it is. And I know all these people that have just been laid off actually have until December. So is that right? Yes, December. So it's a 90-day notice that DC has actually done, or that AT&T, Time Warner Media, whatever the fuck they're called now, um, has done. So yes, they have given 30 days more than what they need to, but still, you have a large event that's going on. You're going to have some pissed off people. You have to have some pissed off people. And are they involved in this event or not? That's pretty much the only reason why I'm going to go and take a look at it. So it starts at 10 a.m. Pacific Standard Time next Saturday, which is right in the middle of this show, right? So what that means is I'm actually going to move the show, if I can, to 8 a.m. Pacific Standard Time next week only. It's going to be a one-time thing. And then, of course, that'll give everyone enough time to shift over to DC Fandom and watch the hilarity that most likely is going to ensue on that one. So you've been warned already. I'm just letting you know, because I want to go over and take a look and see what the hell they're going to do. I really don't know how they're going to do this. It just really boggles the mind why you would fucking lay off 800 people right before a big event. I can see doing it after the event, and then you'd actually get more media coverage on your event to begin with. But I don't know. Yeah, that's just really shitty. And speaking of events that have been canceled, New York City Comic Con, which was supposed to happen in October, so New York City Comic Con 2020 is canceled. Big surprise there. But there is going to be a really sucky online version for you to go and take a look at it, which of course won't have any new content like everything else. And yeah, I was originally going to go to New York City Comic Con this year in October, and then of course the pandemic hit, and it hit New York City pretty hard. And my friends that I was going to go with were like, "No, even if this shit's cleared up by then, not going to New York." And I'm glad they made the right decision now to decide to cancel everything. And hopefully they take a little bit of time to see what happened with San Diego Comic Con's at home bullshit, the pre-recorded stuff, and see how bad it was. Not having any fan interaction. I mean, literally no chat, everything pre-recorded. No comments in the comment section for the videos that are on YouTube, which are the lifeblood basically of YouTube. And yeah, hopefully they learn from all of that and put this thing together properly. Philip says it's easier for one corporation to fire everyone when they take over another one. Then they can hire back at less pay. Yeah, I know that. But they're not going to be doing that with this, Philip. They are gutting this company because it's costing them money. So they're trying to cut money where they can. And they looked at it and they're like, we don't need those funny books. We don't need to make those collectibles. Gone. We don't need to make really good TV shows. Gone. We'll move it over to HBO Max instead. And we'll dumb it down to 1080p so that they can pay double next time when it comes out on 4K. When we put a 4K digital. That way, whenever we want to, we can delete it. And I'll have to buy it again. I'm swear there's got to be a Montgomery Burns, executive sitting there at AT&T going, excellent, and just rolling his fingers together like that. And because really that's all this shit is. It's just grabs for more money. Oh yeah, you didn't think about that one, Joe Greer? Yeah, I think about that shit all the time. That's the reason why I have physical media. Yeah. And speaking of physical media, it's a kind of a perfect segue for this. Disney is ditching physical media altogether. The only time they're actually going to be producing 4K discs is for their big movies. So that's like your Pixar movies, your Marvel movies, and Star Wars movies. That's it. Everything else is going to 4K digital. That's right. They've moved away. Everything's going to 4K digital for them. Most likely, everything is going to go to 4K digital soon, which really sucks for those of us who like the physical media. Yes, I have stuff in digital as well. I have it on, my physical media, which comes with the little code, and then I have it on digital where I can watch it wherever I want to. But it's always nice to say sometimes I want to watch, say, Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure, right? And I don't have a digital code for that. I don't want a digital code for that. So I'm gonna, I'll break out the disc, pop it into the PS4 there, and play it because it's old like that. Yeah, and I'm old like that too. But yes, that was a perfect segue into that one. And not everything's bad news this week. It just happens that there is a lot of shitty news, but it does get better. I'm just going to tell you that right now. After 2 years of working on a live action version of Avatar: The Last Airbender, the original creators of Avatar: The Last Airbender, left the series due to creative differences with Netflix. Not really feeling that one at this point. They essentially are saying that whatever's being made by Netflix right now is not what they wanted, and they are not happy about it, and they've walked away. Yeah. Philip Ademic says I have a Blu-ray burner. Might have to get a 8K burner. Yeah. Bold stance in them walking away from it? Not really. I mean, if you spent 2 years on something and you're fighting tooth and nail over little tiny tidbits of stuff that you've created, and you know the reason, you've already seen it work in animation form, and you've seen it fail in live action form already in one version of a movie, M. Night Shyamalan. Um, I would, I would hold up to them fighting for what they want to see hit the screen versus what the suits want to see. Yes, I know it boils down to money and the suits have the money for it, but yeah, sometimes you got to listen to the creatives and let them go with what they know, you know? That way you actually make some money. Yeah, I saw that it's on Netflix. I have not watched Avatar: The Last Airbender. I know, sacrilege. I haven't seen it. I saw that it was on Netflix last night when I was kinda scrolling through some stuff, and I was like, that might need to be the next series that I've been watching." So, I've been watching, Iron Man: The Armored Adventures, which has the shittiest animation possible. I mean, the shittiest animation possible. This animation looks like the kinda animation that, I don't know if you remember where you can, pre-record you can record some audio and you would pop it into those generators that would do the animated characters for you, and they would animate what you were saying at the time, and that kind of shitty animation. Yeah. And but the stories are really good. They actually take the stories from the comics and set it up, even though it's set in high school. Yeah. So yeah. um Mark says he didn't like Korra. I've never, like I said, I've never watched any of it, so I know everyone raves about it, and I just haven't gotten a chance to see it. And I know everyone's going, "Oh, it's Dennis. He's not going to like it." Well, you never know. It's animation, so let's see what else we got here. Amazon Prime is going to make 8 new Blumhouse movies available via on demand starting in October. Um, and what are those movies, you might ask? I will tell you in just a minute, but I need to stop a video. Let's see what we got here. They actually have them all lined up. The first 4 films are as follows: The Lie, which is about when their teenage daughter confesses to impulsively killing her best friend. 2 desperate parents attempt to cover up the horrific crime, leading them to a complicated web of lies and deception. And that premieres on October 6th. Then there is, excuse me. I'm trying to find out what the fuck the title of this one is. The next one is. They don't really say what the title is. They kind of, Black Box. Excuse me. Black Box is after losing his wife and his memory in a car accident. A single father undergoes an agonizing experimental treatment that causes him to question who he really is. And that, again, is on October 6th as well. Let's see. Evil Eye is about a seemingly perfect romance turns into a nightmare when a mother becomes convinced her daughter's new boyfriend has a dark connection to her own past. And that's on October 13th. And then finally, Nocturne, which is inside the halls of an elite arts academy. A timid music student begins to outshine her more accomplished and outgoing twin sister when she discovers a mysterious notebook belonging to a recently deceased classmate. And that's also on October 13th. Again, these are all on Amazon Prime. I don't know if you're going to have to pay extra for it or not. Most likely you will. But that is 4 out of the 8 movies that they're going to be doing from Blumhouse on Amazon Prime. So, for those of you horror fans out there, there you go. I don't know. It seems for me horror films lately have just been kind of generic. Uh, so not really into it myself. But Peacock, that's right, the NBC streaming service that everyone's forgotten about already. Peacock is developing something called Jade City, which is a series based on Fonda Lee's Green Bone saga. So the series has been described as an epic saga of magic and martial arts where two rival clans will fight to the bitter end for love, honor, and power. Uh, yeah, it's supposed to be a YA novel. So there you go. Excuse me. Yeah. Again, I have to see a trailer for it at this point. There's so much stuff that they say is being made and then it never makes it because they announce it. And then, of course, funding falls through, or some megalith corporation buys another megalith corporation. They merge and they start firing people. And then shit doesn't happen because, excuse, excuse me, because, somebody doesn't like somebody else and now they're their boss and whatnot. So yeah, excuse me. Choked on my own spit there for a second, which is always great. So one of the weird things that's going on with COVID-19, among other things, so Hollywood is starting to get back into making stuff. They're going out to New Zealand. There's an article in the New York Times about the new Jurassic whatever movie that's being made with Bryce Dallas Howard and all the hurdles they need to jump through in order to film this over in Great Britain right now. They're over in the UK filming this. And one of the things that came out about this is that actors that are over 70 are now being denied insurance. So every actor that is on, I should say prominent actor that is on set has an insurance policy. And this is, of course, because if you have a prominent actor who is in the foreground and a major role, and something happens to them in the middle of production and they need to redo the entire movie because of that person dying or losing a head or arm or something like that, that's the reason why insurance exists. Well, any actor over 70 right now is being denied insurance because of COVID-19. It's kind of a weird thing that's happening, but John Rhys Davies, they interviewed him about this, and he says he's already lost 2 roles because of this. Because they won't hire him because he can't get insurance because he's over 70 and he's more susceptible to COVID. So yeah, it's one of those things that is now a new normal in the Hollywood industry, or I should say, is becoming the new normal now. Um, that's kind of a weird thing. Professional band for older people, yeah. Essentially, that's what it's becoming, Stanley. It's becoming a professional discrimination, I guess you could say. And no, it's the insurance. Uninsurable. So unless you're going to regulate a 70 or 80-year-old, 90-year-old, whatever, to a bit part in the background, which can be easily replaced, it's not going to happen. And so you're not going to get your Clint Eastwood, who is in the 80s, William Shatner, who is 90, Robert De Niro. I'm surprised Robert De Niro has a new movie coming out, which looks like dog shit right now, but he's been doing a lot of comedies lately, which has just been weird. But stuff like that, yeah. Mandatory retirement, exactly, Philip. That's pretty much what it's come down to. And those guys have enough money, though. But still, at the same time, it really sucks because it's more of an age cap on media or on production, on Hollywood productions than there already is. More so on women than on men. Yes, I know. Before someone mentions it in the comments. If you're in the US, you can watch the first episode of the CBS All Action show, or All Access, excuse me, show Star Trek Lower Decks for free on YouTube. Yes, I will post it in the comment or the description down below. So yeah, if you feel like punishing yourself, you can watch the first episode for free and have a laughless time at that one. Yeah. Star Trek Lowered Dicks. No, I think you need to go back to the drawing board on that one, Marks. I think that needs to be a little more workshopped on that one before that can be brought out. Yeah. COVID-19 exemption clause in the insurance, possibly, Stanley, but I still don't see how they're going to do it. I really don't see how you can hire somebody who is more susceptible to this disease, or this virus, I should say, than who in a prominent role. Because I mean, you'd have to redo the entire movie, and there's insurance premiums alone are going to be double what the movie is going to be worth. Stanley, I knew you were watching it. Stanley says it's not too bad. Best new Trek yet. That's really not that hard to set. I could probably do some hand puppet stuff. That'll be the best Trek that you've ever seen, if I was so inclined. Without any backgrounds, I can just do the background that I have here and still do it. But yeah. And it'd probably be more compelling and have better set design and production value. I don't know if anyone remembers this, but a couple of years ago, there was a movie that was on Netflix from McG that starred Samara Weaving called The Babysitter. And it was about a babysitter and her friends who happen to be satanic worshipers who were going to sacrifice the kid that she was babysitting to Satan. It's a comedy, and it was also gory. And I watched it. It was actually pretty fucking funny. It was good. It was a lot of fun. Well, guess what? There's a sequel. That's right. Netflix has done a sequel, and on September 10th, McGee's The Babysitter gets a sequel called The Babysitter Killer Queen. Now, everyone is back except for Samara Weaving, because, of course, Samara Weaving has gone on to become Margot Robbie's clone. And, well, no, she's actually getting her own stuff, too. So even all the kids who died in the first movie are coming back in the second movie, because, again, it's about satanic devil worshippers and all that stuff. But yeah, I'm kind of interested to see. I like the first one. The first one was just fun. It was a throwback to like 80s slashers flicks, but tongue firmly in cheek, and just funny. I mean, it just really was. It was funny. It was gory. I know I talked about not being into horror movies right now, just because they're all kind of cookie cutter. This one wasn't cookie cutter. This one was actually a little self-aware and funny. So if you want to watch something on Netflix, hey, that might be is it worth my time? Is The Babysitter for me? It might definitely well be, considering that I'm going to have a little, probably about 2 weeks of downtime on new series that are coming out until a few, like The Boys and Raised by Wolves comes out. Yeah, so we do have Lovecraft Country coming out tomorrow, which I'll be talking about at the end here, but still. Mork says, I'm not hating on it. I'm just not going to waste my time on something I don't consider to be good. Yeah, exactly. I mean, hating on it, Stanley, would be doing an entire podcast about nothing but, and then ripping that to shreds. Some like other podcasts do, and then just fucking dwelling on it and still dwelling on it, and still dwelling on it, and still dwelling on it. Because, or movies or TV shows. And yeah, that's again why I have a 4-episode rule. I have a 4-episode rule of, if I don't like something, if I am just bashing it every time I'm watching it, I drop it, because I can't do those hate watches. Or yes, I know they bring in clicks and whatnot, and I know they bring in views and they bring in subscribers and all that kind of stuff. That's just not me. Yeah. Stanley says, I can't watch hate YouTube videos anymore. I don't blame you, man. I don't either. There's a lot of them out there. And yeah, they have a lot of subscribers because of it. Because people, for some reason, like that shit. I don't know. Yeah. I'm not one of them. Yeah. All right. On to something else here. September 2nd on Netflix again. Netflix has a lot of stuff coming out. So there's a I'll put this again down in the description of this video. I'll put the link to it. There's a teaser, or a trailer I should say, out there for a German version of Unbreakable. That's what I'm calling it. And it's called Freaks, You're One of Us. And it's about a waitress who I guess has been taking some kind of medication, which she doesn't realize is actually has been masking that she has superpowers. So she has super strength, and there are other people out there that also have superpowers that she ends up meeting because of this. And I guess they go out to go and fight crime. So yeah. You're renting space in your head to pay the bills. Yeah. So yeah. German, it's got subtitles. Yes, I think you can do it dubbed as well, but it looks interesting. Why I call it the German version of Unbreakable, because at one point she even is wearing the shirt that says security across it, kind of like David in the first Unbreakable movie has the security jacket that he's wearing when he is in, protector mode or the sentinel mode there. So yeah. Stanley says German series. German series. Most of them are not good. Dark is the exception. This is just a movie, Stanley. It's not a series. It's just a movie. Yeah, I've been watching some of the international stuff too, Joe, on Netflix. And yes, there's some good stuff out there. There's some, it's just like the American stuff. There's some really good gems there, and then there's a lot of crap. I believe it was Harlan Ellison who once said there is, you know, 99% of the stuff out there is crap, but there's good stuff out there too that you could just have to dig to find. Also, one of my other favorite quotes from him is, you're climbing this mountain of shit, and you're climbing and climbing and climbing, and you get to the top to find the world's most perfect rose, only to realize you've lost all sense of smell. I know it's a fucking dark, I'm paraphrasing, by the way, but yes. Yeah. Very dark motherfucker that he was. So actor Yuan, I'm gonna murder his name. This is the guy that was in Marco Polo, and he's also in the live action Mulan as well. So he played one of the cousins of the Khan in Marco Polo, the second season. He is going to direct a cyberpunk sequel, if you will, to 47 Ronin, and it's set 300 years in the future. I'm kind of interested in that. I don't know, call me crazy, but cyberpunk version 47 Ronin set in the future. Kind of reminds me a little bit of a Frank Miller book that's up on the shelves. And I know it's up there. It's right by Mary Jane up here, called Ronin. And if you haven't read Ronin, wow, you should read that. That's a good book. That's a really damn good book, and kind of a classic of Frank Miller's. And the artwork's amazing. The story is amazing. It wasn't a graphic novel. It was released as 12 episodes or 12 comics. So it was a limited series run that was later collected as, a graphic novel. Stanley Tweedle says Americans should get used to watching dub stuff. Makes it easier to watch foreign things. I like the subtitled versions, believe it or not, Stanley. Especially if it's a language that I'm okay with or not okay with, but I know some words. I've said this before about the Netflix series Street Foods, the Latin American version one, and what they were saying on screen was different than what the subtitles were. The subtitles were dumbed down compared to what was being spoken, and that's what I kind of am afraid of with the dubbed over versions. Yeah. You watch subtitles on a laptop. Yeah. Yeah, Japanese I don't understand at all. So I'd have to definitely watch with subtitles or the dubbed version. I mean, yeah. Stanley says I prefer the Japanese originals, even if I understand nothing of the language. So again, I've said this before too. I grew up in the San Francisco Bay Area. There was a huge Asian community. Surprise, I know. And there were a lot of video stores that had a lot of imports from Hong Kong, Japan, all this stuff that the rest of the country was not getting. The rest of the US was not getting, I should say. And I was exposed to that as an early on, which really I know formed who I am now, for better or worse, if you will. But yeah, there was a lot of subtitles involved in it. Sometimes there was stuff that you rented that didn't have subtitles, and it's like, oh shit, okay, what do I do? And you're trying to make out what the thing. Sometimes you could figure out what the story was, but sometimes you couldn't. And yeah, that was it was a crapshoot sometimes. But yeah, I used to rent a lot of those and watch a lot of those. Plus, our excellent the locals TV stations would show a lot of the Japanese serials, like the old, like I said, the tokukatsu series from the 60s and the 70s. Yeah, they would show all of those. Stanley says I watched a 70-part Chinese drama series in Chinese with subtitles. Nice. Yeah. All right. Shawn Ashmore, better known as Iceman in the X-Men movies, he's going to be playing Lamplighter in season 2 of The Boys. I didn't see that one coming. So if you don't know who Lamplighter is, he is a member of the Seven. He wasn't around, of course, in the first season because he was off, probably exiled someplace for whatever he had done before. But he is back in season 2, and Shawn Ashmore is going to be playing him. I can't wait to see what kind of debauchery he gets involved in, because season 2 looks like it's going to be fun. And again, season 2 starts on September 4th. They're going to drop all 4 episodes. The first 4 episodes is what they're going to do. And then after that, they're going to drop 1 episode a week. So I believe I'm going to do the first 4 episodes separately, is how I'm going to review them. And I'll probably do it over the course of the weekend there, the Labor Day weekend. And then we will jump into, of course, the weekly stuff from then on. I think that's how it's going to work out. And it's coming up close here. I mean, we got, what, 2 weeks? Something like that. I'm at a loss for time here. Yeah, 3 weeks, actually. All right. Philip Ademic says, big news. Kiss Anime was shut down last night. Russian semi-pirate site. Oh, okay. Never heard of them. But All right. But I haven't heard of a lot of things, so that's not a big deal. So the last thing I've got here is kind of a weird thing. Garth Davis is supposed to be directing a new Tron movie starring Jared Leto. Supposedly, it's been said that it is Tron 3, but there are rumors now that it's actually a reboot of Tron entitled Tron Ares, because Jared Leto let that slip on Twitter the other day that it's Tron Ares. I don't want a reboot of, I really don't want a reboot of the series. Yes, I know it wasn't profitable. Well, it was profitable enough. They did make money off it. Disney made money. As a matter of fact, Disney was in the middle of making rides, new Tron rides, when the COVID-19 thing happened. They're actually still building them right now. So this is in their Tomorrowland section of the park. And when I was there in November, I noticed that one of the areas was, had big walls in front of it that was closed down and all that. Excuse me. So they definitely know that Tron makes them money, and that's what they're going with at this point. Yeah. Stanley says Tron was very hokey looking back. Even the visuals were was quite unique. Yes, that's actually what made Tron what it was. And for those of us who grew up with Tron and saw it in the theater, it was some groundbreaking shit. And also spent many, 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 many quarters on the arcade game as well. The stupid little spin dial. Spin your arm, Tron. Shoot a master controller. Yeah, I have the Disney release of that one on DVD when it first came out. I've got that shit. Hmm. Joker says it was also a story last night. Prime Video had technical difficulties with season 1 of The Boys yesterday. So yeah, I forgot to mention that. Thanks, Joker. So The Boys season 1 they took offline completely last night is what happened. And yeah, you can watch it. So everyone was wondering what the hell was going on. It was just some technical difficulties, so they say. Although at one point, because of the language that was used, when someone asked one of the Amazon bots, it sounded like there was some kind of dispute between the content creator, which was Amazon, and Amazon. So it was kind of a weird thing. Yeah. Philip says Tron was the last project Walt Disney worked on, I was told. Yeah. Oh yeah, Reboot 3D was actually really cool. There was also the Tron. Did you ever see the Tron animated? I forget what, Tron Rebellion or something like that, or Tron Resistance or something. I can't remember what it was. Something like that. That was actually really damn good, and then that got canceled. Because anything like that that's actually good gets canceled. Do they fix something that glitch in the Matrix? Possibly. Oh, is it on Disney Plus now? Oh, the reboot or the Tron series? I've got to go through and take a look. Disney Plus has fucking everything. So all the Marvel movies are now on Disney Plus. All the Marvel movies, every single Marvel movie is there, and they're no longer, you don't have to worry about the Netflix thing and all that. No, it's all on Disney Plus right now. Oh, the Tron series. Oh, okay, good. I'm gonna have to go and watch that then. I know what I'm doing this afternoon. It's fucking 100 degrees outside. I'm not going outside. I'm sitting here in the AC waiting for the rolling blackout to come along, and yeah, so I'm watching TV, and me and the dog are sitting in front of the fan with the AC going on. Yeah. Black Window is on Disney Plus. Black Window? I don't even know what that is. But yeah. So what else do I have going on this week? Well, tomorrow is the premiere of Lovecraft Country. That's right. Lovecraft Country on HBO Max. I'm going to be doing that tomorrow. Monday, I'm going to be off. Tuesday is going to be an episode of Is It Worth My Time? And I'm going to be doing Project Power. Project Power, which is on Netflix. That's right, Project Power. So Wednesday, I'm going to be off. And then Thursday is another episode of Is It Worth My Time? Where I'm going to be doing Being John Malkovich. That's right. I'm digging up Being John Malkovich on that one. That is also on Netflix at the moment. So you can watch all of that. Friday, I'm going to be off. And then, of course, Saturday, we roll back around again to Saturday morning blast off. There you go. Yes, you do have time to watch. That's why I'm announcing it now. Is anybody going to pay $30 for Mulan? No, I'm not. I'm going to wait till it becomes free. No, Black Widow is not on Disney Plus as of yet. They're not releasing it on Disney Plus. They're going for the theater. I think they moved it to next year, if I'm not mistaken. Stanley Tweedle says, "Wow, that's a blast." Yeah, I figured I'd do something a little different this time around. Being John Malkovich is just weird enough. You know, it's fantasy. It's existential. Malkovich. That Malkovich. Oh, it's a good movie. I haven't seen it in a while. And that's the reason why I want to cover it. And also, I was reading something about it that someone said, it's a horror movie, if you think about it. I was like, they said essentially, this is on IO9, by the way. So I was reading this article, and they said it's like Get Out without the racism. And I was like, you're kind of right. Yeah. So, yeah. Today I watched a new review of the Bashki Lord of the Rings. Oh. Some 20-something-year-old finally got a chance to watch it or something, or found it, discovered it. They're like, man, you got to watch this thing, man. It's so cool. Yeah, that's all the rage right now is you have these kids that are discovering old shit and reacting to it. They're doing reaction videos on, my favorite so far has been the Phil Collins Tonight one with the two twins that are listening to it for the first time. And you're going, wait for the drum solo, man. Wait for the drum solo to kick in. Wait for it to kick in. And it says, do, 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 do. They're like, holy shit. And it's one of the funniest things you will ever see, but also makes you realize how fucking old you are when you remember that first being released. Yeah. Did they arrest the Mulan actress for supporting? I don't know. Yeah, I don't know, Philip. I know there's some hubbub about that, and then it kind of disappeared. So, kind of like someone got disappeared. I don't know. I also saw some videos about watching Star Wars for the first time. Yeah, so I have a problem with the old Star Wars ones because they were a product of a generation. It's hard to watch those movies and then watch those reaction videos and having kids go, "Oh, that sucked, man. Look at those shitty special effects." Blah, blah. It's like, hey, man, at the time, those were state of the art. So those led up to all the shit you're seeing now. That's actually what led up to all of this. And yes, we knew it was shitty, but our imaginations could take us there a bit. And yes, they don't hold up well. Some of them, they really don't. Some of the stories are hokey. But again, it was new. It was something that hasn't been rehashed 1,000 times or made better by modern technology, things like that. So, and the same thing with when I was taking film classes way back in the day. We'd watch old films and you'd go, okay, well, like if you showed somebody Citizen Kane today, right? If you showed a 19-year-old Citizen Kane, they're going to go, well, this fucking sucks. Well, what you don't realize is that is the first movie that everything else before it, the camera was locked down in position. They did it like a stage play. So you would lock the camera down, your actors would come in from, off screen and whatnot. Citizen Kane actually led you to camera wipes, dollies, moving the camera around as an action item. If you didn't have Citizen Kane, you wouldn't have a lot of modern cinema right now. You wouldn't have I'm gonna go with Project Power right now that I just watched on Netflix last night. There are some scenes in there where, the camera jolts around because you got a handheld camera and stuff like that. None of that would have come about without Citizen Kane. Yeah. And you have to have that in mind when you're watching some of this stuff. And we did this in film school. I mean, not film school, I should say film class, is that, we learned about the techniques that were going on at the time and what was available to them. And then we'd watch the film first and then we break it down. And that's how that came about. But still, you get a more appreciative view of things when you can break stuff down like that in a film class. Yeah. Stanley says, once I saw two millennials complaining about TOS being tropey. Yeah. So the whole thing with like modern conventions too, um, all modern conventions pretty much stem from Star Trek conventions. You had a lot of people that, Star Trek was canceled after 3 years and they wanted to relive that experience. They wanted to, excuse me, they wanted to experience it with other people as well. So you start having people coming in together in groups at a convention. They'd have panels on how to do geeky things like, how to film something, how to do special effects makeup. And then comics start moving into that as well. That's how stuff started. I mean, yeah. And I'm talking 50 years ago, because remember, Comic Con last year celebrated its 50th anniversary, which is what, 1969, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah. Philip says, I love that people complain about modern TVs removing shaky cam from movies. Oh, yeah. Green Glass, the motherfucker who filmed the second Bourne movie. Oh, I hate his direct camera directing style is like, hey, let's throw this camera inside a washing machine and we're gonna set it on the spin cycle and not lock it down or anything. Just put it on the spin cycle. That's pretty much how I feel how he does camera work. I couldn't watch the second Bourne movie just because it was just camera going everywhere. Here, I'll show you what it looks like. Oh my god, yeah, it looks like that, only a lot worse. Yeah, I didn't have the shaky cam wouldn't have been invented in the first place. Yeah. And again, unless you had Sam Raimi tying a fucking Super 8 camera on a 2x4 to his back and running through the woods, you also wouldn't have shaky cam as well on that. I love that story. Excuse me. My throat is just all kind of dry at the moment. I love that story of Sam Raimi strapping a 2x4 and a camera to the 2x4 onto his back and then running like a bat out of hell through the woods. And yeah, and running afterbirths with that on his back. Yeah. I'm not in San Francisco, Philip. And now they use it to make stuff cheaply. Yeah. Exactly. Man, yeah, if you didn't have any of these people that just thought a little bit differently about how we view things, how we want to see these things, and how we see things in real life versus your filmmaking. Yes, guerrilla filmmaking. Yes, that's exactly it. So yeah, if you didn't have these people doing that, we wouldn't have any kind of innovation in film. Jon Favreau talks about it lovingly in when he's talking about The Mandalorian on Disney Plus. They have that series of him breaking down how The Mandalorian is made, and it's an excellent series. I highly recommend it to anybody who wants to learn about film or just is interested in The Mandalorian in itself, how it's made. He does a great breakdown on stuff. And speaking of Jon Favreau, so one of his first movies, Swingers, um, when they are going through into nightclubs and stuff like that and into bars, speaking of guerrilla filmmaking, they didn't get any permits for any of that. So that is them really going into a club with a camera, filming, and yeah, almost getting arrested, things like that. So yeah, guerrilla filmmaking at its best. I did a little bit of that when I was in art school in San Francisco. We weren't supposed to film down in the Muni subways, and we were doing an exercise on our cameras, on our film camera, of we had to edit, not really edit, kind of linearly film a segment, and we had to have certain shots in there, and so we had to plan it out and then plan out what we were going to do and then go and execute it. And one of them was being down in the Muni subway that we were doing, and we actually filmed all our stuff. So we had, what is it, a left exit, a right exit, things like that. We had all kinds of, panning shots, and we had to, think it out as we were doing it. Yeah, really, about the swingers thing. That it's a great story. Doug Liman, I think that's his first movie, if I'm not mistaken. Of course, the guy who did the very first Bourne movie. Yeah. So yeah, Doug Liman does Swingers, and then of course he goes and does Go as his second movie, which has the best car chase scene in it. I know everyone says Bourne, the first Bourne movie has the best car chase scene, which again he did that movie. But Go literally has the best car chase scene in, as far as I'm considered. Yeah. Yeah. And what's that line? I never bet on anything except for the buffet. All right. Well, with that said, I gave you the schedule. Best thing to do is go to suspendedfanimation.com, take a look at my schedule that's up there, and also all the links to my social media. So Twitter, Instagram, Patreon page, no tier separately on the Patreon page. Also, I've got links to this YouTube page, my Facebook page, and my Facebook group page. But also, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. If you're still on the fence about subscribing, take a look at the very end here. You're going to see a video pop up here. And if you like what you see there, hit the subscribe button down there. That's it for me. I'm going to let you guys go for the rest of the weekend. If you're having a heat wave wherever you are, hopefully you'll stay cool. Stay air conditioning. Don't go down to the beach, because honestly, there's a bunch of asshats there without any masks right now, and I learned that the hard way yesterday. But I'm gonna let you guys go. I will see you tomorrow for Lovecraft Country. Until then, don't let the door hit your ass on the way out. Otherwise, you may end up just stuck indoors because it's fucking hot in hell outside, and you really don't want to go out there without melting. Thanks, everybody. I will see you again tomorrow. Take care, be well, and have a good night. Thanks, everybody.